A girl named Jessie took part in a themed photo shoot. After the shoot, she was taking off her makeup in the dressing room. The makeup artist Ruby immediately realized that the girl had only recently arrived in Los Angeles. It was evident from her behavior. Ruby volunteered to help Jessie remove her makeup, asking her many personal questions, including about the family. Jessie replied that her parents had passed away a long time ago. Ruby suggested Jessie accompany her to a party, and she decided to agree. In the nightclub, Jessie clearly felt uncomfortable. Ruby introduced the girl to her friends, Gigi and Sarah, who were models. In the restroom, as the girls touched up their makeup, Gigi called Jessie sweetie. Ruby applied bright lipstick to the girl's lips. Gigi admired the beauty of the young girl, considering it unfair that some people are naturally blessed with such luxurious hair and perfect facial features. Gigi was dissatisfied with her own appearance, so she constantly used the services of plastic surgeons. When the new acquaintances asked Jessie if she had a boyfriend, she became confused and hesitantly said she had many boyfriends. When the girls returned to the dance floor, the show began. Thus Jessie became part of the fashionable life of Los Angeles. The next morning in the motel, after getting herself ready, Jessie headed to the modeling agency. The agency director, Roberta Hoffman, reviewed the girl's portfolio and asked who photographed it. Jessie replied that it was a guy she met online. Roberta advised her to be more careful with that. Among the dozens of girls who come here every day, Jessie stood out with her natural beauty. Roberta called her perfect and offered her a contract. Moreover, a well-known photographer with whom Roberta had already arranged, agreed to do a trial shoot. Jessie was happy. The only problem was that she wasn't yet 18. Roberta gave her a parental consent form. Additionally, Roberta asked Jessie to tell everyone she was 19. In the hotel, Jessie signed the parental consent form herself. Later Dean, the guy who photographed her, came to pick her up. Jessie shared the good news that she had signed a contract with the agency. Alas, the agency didn't ask anything about the photos. The young people went out of town, where they admired the night landscapes. Jessie shared with Dean how she used to love climbing onto the roof as a child and looking at the moon, thinking it was a big round eye. Jessie always dreamed of being successful. She didn't have any talents, but she was pretty and that can bring money. Dean believes in Jessie, even though they barely know each other. He knows for sure that this girl is not like everyone else. Learning that Jessie is actually 16 surprised Dean. However, it didn't deter him. Late at night when Dean took Jessie back, he wanted to kiss her, but she said it was time to go. They agreed to meet again. Opening the door to her room, Jessie realized someone was inside, and in fear she ran to the motel manager, Hank. He and his friend Mikey went to deal with it. The men broke the door. Inside there was a terrible mess. Hank demanded compensation from Jessie, although she claimed she hadn't done anything. The men were astonished when they saw a cougar in the room. The next morning Jessie went to the shoot. Ruby was very happy to see the girl and gave her an amazing golden makeup. Jack MacArthur, being a renowned photographer, usually doesn't shoot beginner models. But Jessie became an exception because her natural beauty can overshadow any supermodel. Jack asked all outsiders to leave the studio. Ruby was worried about Jessie and wanted to stay, but she had to leave too. The girl was nervous because a professional photo shoot was new to her. After applying gold paint to Jessie, Jack started taking pictures. Meanwhile, Ruby waited outside. Jessie said everything went great. She hopes Jack will submit her photos to a fashion magazine. Before Jessie left, Ruby advised her not to stay alone with Jack anymore. Jessie objected, saying she wasn't helpless. Ruby gave the new friend her phone number, asking to call if she needed anything. Jessie promised to do so. Later, Ruby met Gigi and Sarah at a cafe, who only ordered coffee because they needed to watch their figures. The girls weren't happy to hear that Jack MacArthur photographed Jessie. He usually doesn't work with newbies. Ruby is confident that Jessie will become a star. She has something that hundreds of other faceless models don't. Meanwhile, Jessie was at a casting with dozens of other girls. The renowned couturier Robert barely looked at them and showed no interest. A girl named Sarah is not the first time she has been cast, however she never got the job. It was Jessie's turn to showcase her talent. As soon as Robert saw her, he felt a reverential awe. Though Jessie doesn't have a portfolio or runway experience, her beauty more than compensated for it. After Jessie demonstrated her gait, Robert asked his assistants to take the model's measurements. Sarah was broken. In the restroom, she looked at her reflection and smashed the mirror. Hearing the sound of breaking glass, Jessie startled and went into the restroom. Sarah was sitting on the floor, smoking, with her photos scattered everywhere. Jessie was going to pick them up, but Sarah didn't want to. Jessie tried to cheer up Sarah, who feels like nothing but a ghost. She wants to know what it's like when people see and notice you. Jessie honestly replied that it was something worth living for. When Sarah pitched forward, Jessie inadvertently hurt her palm with a shard of glass. Sarah ostensibly wanted to help, but instead licked Jessie's hand. The girl ran away in a panic. Meanwhile, Ruby arrived at her second job at the morgue, where she does makeup for the deceased. Jessie tries to avoid Hank because she has no way to pay for the motel. In the room, she tended to the wound on her palm when suddenly there was a knock on the door. Dean stood at the threshold with a bouquet of flowers. Jessie passed out. Horrific visions haunted her in her sleep. When Jessie came to her senses, she immediately hugged Dean. Later, the guy approached Hank and paid off Jessie's debt. Then Dean helped the girl treat her wound. Gigi didn't expect Jessie to participate in the fashion show. If initially Gigi didn't see Jessie as competition, now everything has changed. Unlike Jessie, Gigi has undergone many plastic surgeries, but it didn't bring her the desired success. Suddenly Robert's assistant approached Jessie and said he wanted to see her. Robert decided that Jessie would close the show. Any model would dream of being in Jessie's shoes. Just arrived, she already has everything to conquer Los Angeles. On the catwalk during the fashion show, Jessie was haunted by strange visions in which she kissed her own reflection. After the show, Jessie and Dean went to a restaurant. Robert, Gigi and another model were at the neighboring table. That same model shared that she was planning to have plastic surgery. Robert urged her not to do it because artificial beauty is always visible. Gigi disagreed, and Robert asked the model to stand up so Dean could assess her. The guy, who was a little confused, said that Gigi was more or less cute. That's exactly what Robert wanted to hear. In his opinion, true beauty is something one is born with, and genuine beauty is the greatest gift. Jessie was like a diamond in a sea of glass. However, Dean believes that the most important thing is not appearance but a person's inner world. These words only caused Robert to smile. Dean no longer wanted to stay here and suggested Jessie leave, but she preferred to stay. All this time, Dean was waiting for Jessie outside the motel. When the girl appeared, Dean asked why she wanted to be like all those models. Jessie replied that she didn't want to be like them. It's they who want to be like her. When Jessie fell asleep, Hank sneaked into her room and ordered her to be quiet. Paralyzed with fear, Jessie didn't dare move. The next moment she woke up on the floor. As someone started pulling the door handle from outside, Jessie locked it. A few minutes later, she heard Hank and some woman in the neighboring room arguing. Apparently something terrible was about to happen. Jessie called her only friend in town, Ruby. She gave Jessie her address and asked her to come right away. The girls hugged each other as they met. While Jessie took a shower, Ruby did her makeup in front of the mirror. After that, Ruby brought a toothbrush and nightie for Jessie. This huge house doesn't belong to Ruby, she just looks after it. But Ruby assured Jessie that she could stay here as long as she wanted. Ruby offered to brush Jessie's hair to calm her down. Jessie thanked the friend for everything, saying that she was wonderful. After these words, Ruby became persistent. When Jessie realized what Ruby actually wanted, she admitted that she had never been with anyone before. However, Ruby didn't see it as a problem and continued to act. Jessie had to push her away. Angered by the rejection, Ruby left, and in her room drew a creepy smiley face on the mirror with lipstick. Waking up in the morning, Jessie explored the house while Ruby applied makeup to the deceased woman. At some point, Ruby locked the door, intending to do something that went beyond morality. During this time she fantasized about Jessie. Standing in front of the mirror, the girl applied glitter to her face and put on a blue dress. Jessie reveled in her beauty, considering herself superior to others. In the evening when Ruby returned, Jessie said that the mother used to call her a dangerous girl in her childhood. Most women are willing to give up everything for such looks, starving, suffering and undergoing dozens of plastic surgeries just to become her second-rate copy. Seeing that Gigi and Sarah were also here, Jessie arrogantly asked, "Are they having a party?" At that moment the jealous models attacked Jessie, who after fending them off, rushed to escape. Gigi caught up with Jessie in the kitchen. Cornered, Jessie grabbed a sharp object. Running was all she could do now. Outside, the girls surrounded Jessie. Ruby pushed her into the empty pool. Both Sarah and Gigi had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Due to injuries, Jessie couldn't move while the envious women approached. The models decided that if they consumed perfection, they would at least gain some of her beauty. So they did. Soon Gigi went off for the shoot, and Sarah decided to keep her company. Annie, another model who would also participate in the photo shoot, said that her friend lost her job because she was no longer as young. Competition in the modeling business is very high. When Annie asked Sarah what was the worst thing she had done to one of her competitors, Sarah replied that she ate. Of course Annie took it as a joke. Both models were ready, but Jack still didn't like something. Seeing Sarah, he decided to photograph her instead of Annie. So Sarah, unwittingly, took away the job from her competitor. After the makeup, a look was chosen for Sarah. The shooting took place near the pool. Gigi couldn't stand still, feeling pain in her stomach and unbearable nausea. At some point, unable to bear it, she ran away. Gigi felt like something inside her wanted to burst out. While Jack impatiently waited, Gigi tried to spit it out, but to no avail. Sarah went to check what was wrong and saw Gigi spitting out an eye. After that, Gigi burst into tears saying that Jessie was inside her. In a panic, Gigi inflicted a fatal injury on herself. Bending down, Sarah picked up the eye, put it in her mouth and left.